वरधारी जसोदानन्दना व्रज जनरञ्जना Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Prabhupada Tirobhav Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Gaur. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 16. Jaya and Vijaya cursed by the sages, the four Kumaras. Text number 10. Ye me tanur dvija varan duhatir madiya. Ye me tanur dvija varan duhatir madiya. Bhutani alabdha sharanani cha bheda buddhya. Bhutanyalabdha sharanani cha bheda buddhya. Drakshyanti agha kshata drusho hi ahi manyavastan. Drakshantyagha kshata drusho hyahi manyavastan. Gridhra rusha mama kushanti adhidanda netuho. Gridhra rusha mama kushanti adhidanda netuho. Ye me tanurdvijavaran duhatir madiya. Bhutanyalabdha sharanani cha bheda buddhya. Drakshanthyagakshata drusho hyahi manyavastan. Gridhra rusha mama kushantyadhidanda netuho. Ye me tanurdvijavaran duhatir madiya. Bhutanyalabdha sharanani cha bheda buddhya. Drikshantyagakshata drusho hyahi manyavastan. Gridhra rusha mama kushantyadhidanda netuho. Ye me tanurdvijavaran duhatir madiya. Bhutanyalabdha sharanani cha bheda buddhya. Dakshantyagakshata drusho hyahi manyavastan. Rudra rusha mama kushantyadhidanda netuho. Ye, which persons may my tanuhu body, Vijavaran, the best of the Brahmanas, Duhatihi, cows, Madiyaha, relating to me, Bhutani, living entities, Alabdha Sharanani, defenseless, Cha, and Bheda Buddhya, considering as different, Drakshyanti, see, Agha, by sin, Kshata, is impaired, Drushaha, whose faculty of judgment, he, because, Ahi, like a snake, Manyavaha, angry, Tan, those same persons, Gridraha, the vulture-like messengers, Rusha, angrily, Mama, my, Kushanti, tear, Adhidandanetuhu, of the superintendent of punishment, Yamaraj. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. The Brahmanas, the cows, and the defenseless creatures are my own body. Those whose faculty of judgment has been impaired by their own sin look upon these as distinct from me. They are just like furious serpents, and they are angrily torn apart by the bills of the vulture-like messengers of Yamaraj, the superintendent of sinful persons. Please repeat this translation after me. The Brahmanas, the cows, and the defenseless creatures are my own body. Those whose faculty of judgment has been impaired by their own sin look upon these as distinct from me. They are just like furious serpents, and they are angrily torn apart by the bills of the vulture-like messengers of Yamaraj, the superintendent of sinful persons. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The defenseless creatures, according to Brahma Samhita, are the cows, Brahmanas, women, children, and old men. Of these five, the Brahmanas and cows are especially mentioned in this verse because the Lord is always anxious about the benefit of the Brahmanas and the cows and is prayed to in this way. The Lord especially instructs, therefore, that no one should be envious of these five, especially the cows and Brahmanas. In some of the Bhagavatam readings, the word duhitruh is used instead of duhatihi. But in either case, the meaning is the same. Duhatihi means cow, and duhitruh can also be used to mean cow because the cow is supposed to be the daughter of the sun god. Just as children are taken care of by the parents, women as a class should be taken care of by the father, husband, or grown-up son. Those who are helpless must be taken care of by their respective guardians. Otherwise, the guardians will be subjected to the punishment of Yamaraj, who is appointed by the Lord to supervise the activities of sinful living creatures. The assistants or messengers of Yamaraj are likened here to vultures, and those who do not execute their respective duties in protecting their wards are compared to serpents. Vultures deal very seriously with serpents, and similarly the messengers will deal very seriously with neglectful guardians. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yatkripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam. This is a conversation between the Supreme Lord and the Kumaras. The Kumaras have reached Vaikuntha. They were just wandering freely without any particular aim in life because they are already self-realized souls. They are completely absorbed in thought of the Supreme. But their realization is only up to the point of impersonal Brahman. The Supreme Absolute Truth is realized in three different features. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. So the Supreme Absolute Truth, ultimate reality, Param Satya, is realized in feature of Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So the Kumaras, they were followers of the Jnana Marga. And by the Jnana Marga, one can realize the absolute truth. Only the Brahman feature, impersonal Brahman, Brahmeti. But the Kumaras had heard from their father. Who's the father of the Kumaras? Lord Brahma. They are the sons of Brahma. So they had heard from their father, Lord Brahma, that the Supreme Absolute Truth is also the Paramatma in everybody's heart and also the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the spiritual world, Bhagavan. They had heard this. But their method of realization does not enable them to realize these features, especially the feature of Bhagavan. Bhagavan can be realized only by bhakti. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yat cha asmi tattvataha. If you want to realize God as Bhagavan, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Narayana, or as Krishna, or as Vishnu, that is not possible by any other method other than bhakti. only by bhakti. Bhaktya tu ananyaya shakya aham evam vidho Arjuna jnatum drashtum cha tattvena praveshtum cha parantapa. One can know me as I am. Standing before you, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. In the Bhagavad Gita, after showing Arjuna his universal form, Arjuna becomes terrified. And then Arjuna offers nice prayers. And at the end of the prayers, he prays to Krishna. Please show me your four-handed pleasing form. Very, very pleasing to the eyes. This universal form is a ghastly form. Ugra Rupa. So Krishna, on the request of Arjuna, only showed that universal form. Krishna did not want to show. But Arjuna requested, please show me. So Krishna showed that form. Arjuna became terrified. Then Arjuna prayed to Krishna, show me your four-handed form. Krishna said, okay. So he showed the four-handed form, the form of Narayana. And even without Arjuna asking him, Krishna also showed Arjuna his two-handed form. And then Krishna himself says that this two-handed form of mine is very, 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 very rarely seen by even the devotees. Even the devotees. And especially the devatas, though they may sometimes be able to see the four-handed form of the Supreme Lord. Because the Supreme Lord as Vishnu is a maintainer of this universe. So sometimes he comes to this world in his Vishnu form for the sake of protecting the devotees, for the sake of killing the demons, for the sake of re-establishing the religious principles. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. He comes. So sometimes when he comes, they can see him. But the form of Krishna, that is very, 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 very rare. As Krishna, he comes once in a day of Brahma. Whereas in his four-handed form, every yuga he comes. Every yuga. In a day of Brahma, how many yugas are there? Sahasra yuga paryantam. Of course, this yuga, in this context, Sahasra yuga paryantam, aharyad brahmano viduhu, it refers to Mahayuga. Mahayuga means 4 yugas. Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali. And 1,000 cycles of such Mahayugas is 1 day of Brahma. That's about 4 billion years of our calculation. So, in 4,000 yugas, only one time, Krishna comes from his personal abode in the spiritual world. Can you switch off the mosquito repellent? Oh, it's right here. Okay. So in 4,000 yugas, one particular yuga. Which yuga? The 28th Dwapar Yuga in the 7th Manvantara. In this day of Brahma, Krishna comes in his original form as Krishna. And when he comes as Krishna, he appears like a cowherd boy. And then even the Devatas, though they know from the scriptures, from authoritative sources, they know God comes in different incarnations, and in his form as Krishna, he comes only once. But still, even the Devatas are not able to recognize him as Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. They are not able to recognize him. So Krishna cannot be understood. Krishna cannot be seen. And even when Krishna comes in front of us, we cannot recognize him as the Supreme Lord. So that Krishna is telling, Bhaktya tu ananyaya shakya. After showing Arjuna his 200 form, he is telling that this form, 200 form, is very, very rare. Sudurdarsham. Durdarsham means very difficult to be seen. The personal form of Krishna, even in his 400 form, is difficult to be seen. Durdarsham. Sudurdarsham is for the 200 form. So this 200 form is very, very, very difficult to be seen, even by the Devatas, even by devotees in this world. It's difficult to be seen. And especially the Devatas, they're always seeking an opportunity to see this form. And after they see this form also, they cannot recognize that this is the form of the Supreme Lord. They cannot recognize. So therefore, the Kumaras, they had heard about the form of Krishna or Narayana from their father. But they had not realized, they had not seen, they had not understood. So while they were wandering, being absorbed in thought of the Supreme as Brahman, so suddenly they happened to come to the Vaikuntha planets. Because they are liberated souls, they can wander everywhere. In the material world, in the spiritual world, everywhere they can wander. So, sometimes they travel in the material world, sometimes they go to the spiritual world. The spiritual world, they know the spiritual world, the spiritual sky is actually illuminated by the Brahma Jyoti, the Brahman effulgence. So that Brahman effulgence they are already realized, so they know what it is. But they do not know what is Bhagavan. Do not know means they can't recognize. The spiritual planets they think are another kind of planets, just like material planets are there. And in the spiritual planets, there are devotees, pure devotees. So those devotees also they think are pious human beings or pious personalities like that. So when they entered Vaikuntha, they were very eager and anxious to see Narayana. They had heard Narayana lives in Vaikuntha. So they were very anxious to see Narayana. So Vaikuntha, there are 7 gates. They had to pass through the 7 gates. So first gate, nobody obstructed them. The 4, see the Kumaras, they are the oldest personalities in this universe. But they keep themselves by their mystic power as looking like 5-year-old boys, Kumaras. So again, these Kumaras cannot be recognized by everybody. They look like small boys. So, as small boys, they travel everywhere. Only those who know them, they can recognize. And even to see them is not possible because they don't have a body like ours. They have a very subtle body. They are residents of Brahmaloka, the topmost planet in the entire universe. In that planet, all the residents are having only the subtle body. They don't have a gross body. Even the Devatas, they have a subtle body. So that subtle body cannot be seen by everybody. According to their level of advancement in pious activities, according to the level of their mystic powers, according to the quantity of punya they have got different powers to see. Similarly, the Kumaras, they are not recognized by everybody. So, they entered Vaikuntha and they were just allowed. Because who goes to Vaikuntha? Who can go to Vaikuntha? Only those who are completely liberated. Only those who are completely liberated. So such liberated souls, they are not obstructed anywhere. Even in Vaikuntha, they are not obstructed. But even though liberated souls can go to Vaikuntha also, but they are not able to penetrate the dazzling effulgence of the spiritual sky, the Brahman effulgence, unless they are devotees of the personality of Godhead, Narayana or Krishna. Only the devotees can penetrate. And only the devotees can generally enter the Vaikuntha planets. But the Kumaras, because they are self-realized and they are freely wandering, they had heard from their father about Narayana and they knew Narayana lives in Vaikuntha, though they had never seen Narayana. They had never seen Narayana. So when they entered Vaikuntha, they became very eager to see Narayana. They knew that every planet has got a predominating deity. Just like Brahma is the predominating deity of Brahmaloka. Indra is the predominating deity of Indraloka. Bhudevi is the predominating deity of our planet, Earth planet, Bhuloka. Like that, the predominating deity of the Vaikuntha planets, only one person. All the Vaikuntha planets. Material world, every planet has got a different predominating deity. But in the Vaikuntha planets, the Supreme Lord, Narayana, is the only predominator. Everybody else is simply servant of Narayana. Everybody else is serving Narayana. So this is the difference between the spiritual world and the material world. Material world, so many devatas. They are all having different grades of power. And they have a hierarchy also. Topmost is Brahma. Below the Brahma are the Prajapatis and certain controllers, directional controllers, Dikpalakas, and the controllers of the wind and the fire and the rain. All these are directly reporting to Brahma. Like that, there is a whole hierarchy. Spiritual world, there is no hierarchy like that. There is only one controller, Narayana. And everyone else is his servant. But what kind of servant? Not like in the material world. Material world, servant serves the master because he is obliged to serve. In the spiritual world, the devotees serve the Supreme Lord not because of any obligation. Out of love. Out of love for the Supreme Lord, they serve the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord also is not in need of any service. Material world, everyone requires some service. Without the servant or the subordinate, even the master cannot properly function in this material world. They are dependent. Everyone is dependent in the material world. Nobody is independent. But spiritual world, the Supreme Lord is the master, supreme controller, but he is not dependent. He is independent. So therefore, then, why will he accept service? Because he is in need? No. Because out of love for his devotees, the devotees serve the Supreme Lord out of love for him. The devotees also serve without any demands. That is called bhakti, pure devotional service. No demands. And the Supreme Lord accepts the service even though he is not in need because he also loves his devotees. So out of love for them, he accepts. So this Supreme Lord, Narayana, he permitted these Kumaras to enter the Vaikuntha planet. Vaikuntha planet nobody can enter without permission from the Supreme Lord. Any planet. That's the way it is. Even in this material world, we cannot go to heavenly planets without qualification. Otherwise, we'll be stopped even if we attempt to go. We'll be stopped. Will not be allowed. So, in the spiritual world, the spiritual planets, only those who are permitted, allowed to enter by Narayana, they can only enter. Generally, only the devotees of Narayana can enter the Vaikuntha planets. Pure devotees only. Others cannot. So the Kumaras are not yet pure devotees, but they were allowed to enter by Narayana. So they went through the first gate, second gate. Each gate has got Dwarapalakas, doorkeepers, gatekeepers. So the gatekeepers of the first gate, they didn't stop these Kumaras. Kumaras went through. Second gate, third gate, fourth gate, fifth gate, sixth gate. The last gate is the seventh gate. So when they came to the seventh gate, why are they coming? To see Narayana. Very eager. They're very anxious. So they came to the seventh gate, they were stopped. They were stopped by Jaya and Vijaya, the two chief doorkeepers of the seventh gate of Vaikuntha. So Jaya and Vijaya stopped them. Yes, who are you? What is your business? So the Kumaras became very, 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 very angry at being stopped. Became very angry. And they actually cursed the doorkeepers. Just when this cursing was going on, the Supreme Lord Narayana immediately came with his associates personally to the seventh gate. And as soon as the Kumaras saw Narayana, immediately they were completely attracted to that most beautiful form. They had heard about Narayana, but they had not seen. They didn't know how beautiful is Narayana. So actually when they saw, they were completely captivated by his beauty. And they immediately paid respects to Narayana, falling at his feet. Now when they fell at his feet, something very, very, very mystical happened. What happened? Narayana's feet are always decorated with tulsi leaves. And these tulsi leaves, the devotees always offer to the feet of Narayana, mixed with chandan paste. And that chandan also, it has got a very nice fragrance. Chandan has got nice fragrance. But it is further enhanced by being mixed with kesar. So kesar chandan yukta tulsi patra, that the Lord is decorated. So the aroma of that Kesar Chandan Tulsi entered the nostrils of these four Kumaras when they paid Dandavat Pranam to Narayana. And immediately they experienced a ecstasy which they had never before experienced. This is very, very important to understand. That as liberated souls who have realized the Supreme Brahman, Supreme Absolute Truth is Brahman, they are situated in Brahmananda. Brahmananda is the spiritual happiness attained by those who have realized the Supreme Absolute Truth as Brahman. That Brahmananda is millions and billions of times more joyful than the highest material happiness available in this entire material creation. The highest material happiness in this material creation is in Brahmaloka. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, it is described that on every planet, the maximum material happiness, enjoyment available is limited. So as you go to higher planets, the material happiness increases. The maximum available material happiness increases more and more and more and more and more. So Brahmaloka is the topmost happiness. But this Brahmananda, the happiness available by realizing the Absolute Truth as Brahman, that Ananda, that is, first of all, it is not material. Material happiness is actually temporary. And material happiness is always conditional. Whereas spiritual happiness is eternal, unconditional, and it is permanent. So, those who have realized the Brahman feature of the Absolute Truth, they are able to experience this Brahmananda. And that is not comparable with any material happiness. It's incomparable. So they were already situated in Brahmananda. So for them, in the material world, any kind of sense experience which is very, very pleasing to the senses is not going to give them some joy or some ecstasy or some pleasure, because they are situated in Brahmananda. So when they smelt the tulsi leaves at the lotus feet of the Lord, Narayana, they experienced a pleasure much, much more than Brahmananda itself. And that was the cause of their ecstasy. And then they realized, oh, this is something which we had never experienced before. This is something very, very special, very different. And that resulted in them immediately realizing the Supreme Absolute Truth as Bhagavan. They became, Bhagavan realized, they became devotees. They became devotees. After that, the Supreme Lord addressed them. They finished paying Dandavat, and as devotees now they are standing in front of Narayana. Before this, they were just curious to see Narayana as the predominating deity of the Vaikuntha planet, of whom they had heard from their father Brahma. But now, the Lord has come and the Kumaras, they have begged forgiveness from the Lord for having cursed the doorkeepers. They have begged forgiveness. So the Lord is now speaking to them. And what is the Lord telling? Lord is telling that these attendants of mine, Jaya and Vijaya, have committed a great offense against you. Lord is telling they have made an offense by stopping you. They shouldn't have stopped you. So, in that connection, the Lord is telling that those who are not able to recognize devotees of the Lord and are always seeing the Lord separate from his devotees, even though they be devoted to the Lord, if they neglect to properly show respect and recognize the pure devotees of the Lord, they are punishable. It's a great offense on their part. That is what Lord Narayana is telling the Kumaras. The Brahmanas, the cows and the defenseless creatures are my own body. Those whose faculty of judgment has been impaired, those who are not able to properly see and recognize, by their own sin look upon these as distinct from me. They see with Bheda Bhava. They see with discrimination as less important or not important. The devotees are not recognized on an equal level with the Supreme Lord by those who are not pure devotees. They make a distinction. So when they offend devotees, somebody offends devotees by not giving them due respect, then such people are punished by Yamaraj for the offense. And how will Yamaraj punish? Yamaraj need not punish. Yamaraj's messengers will angrily tear apart their entire body, just like vultures will tear apart the body of angry serpents. So, very severe punishment by Yamaraj. So, Prabhupada says in the purport that one should be very careful to respect and treat devotees of the Lord, Supreme Lord, properly. Especially the pure devotees. One should never offend a pure devotee. Just like Durvasa Muni, in the 9th canto there is a description. He offended Maharaj Ambarisha. And Durvasa Muni was very severely chastised by the Supreme Lord personally. Supreme Lord sent his Sudarshana Chakra to chastise Durvasa Muni. So like that, one should never disregard or offend or disrespect pure devotees of the Lord. So that is the lesson to be learned from this statement of the Supreme Lord. Be very careful. Treat devotees with respect, and particularly pure devotees with the highest respect. How much we should respect pure devotees? Equal to the respect given to the Supreme Lord Himself. Sakshad haritvena samasta shastrai. All the scriptures are declaring they are to be looked upon with equal respect, or treated with equal respect as that given to the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord, we give the highest respect. All respect. Similarly, even the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord have to be given all respect. The highest respect. Equal respect as that given to the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, even though the devotees don't take offense, they don't take offense, but the Supreme Lord will consider that offense as very, very grave. If you offend the Supreme Lord, you can be freed from the offense simply by taking shelter of His holy name. Of His holy name. Or by even taking shelter of His pure devotees. You can be excused. But if you offend a pure devotee of the Lord, you cannot beg forgiveness from the Lord. He will not excuse you. You cannot beg forgiveness even from the holy name of the Lord. Even that will not free you from the offense against the pure devotee. You cannot beg forgiveness from another pure devotee of the Lord. You cannot take shelter of another pure devotee. Even that is not going to work. Only way is to beg forgiveness from the devotee whom you have offended. Only that is going to work. Nothing else will work. So here we should remember that offending a pure devotee is very, 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 very dangerous for our spiritual life. And even among pure devotees, because pure devotees are all serving the Supreme Lord purely. But among them, one class of pure devotees are the topmost. They are those who are engaged in preaching the glories of the Supreme Lord in the material world in order to deliver these conditioned souls who are suffering. There are so many devotees of the Supreme Lord who are doing different kinds of service. Most of them are in the spiritual world. All the devotees in the spiritual world are pure devotees of the Supreme Lord. They are rendering some kind of service. So somebody is doing chamar, somebody is cooking for him, somebody is glorifying him, somebody is doing some other service. So many services they are doing. And he accepts all that service being rendered lovingly by his devotees. But the Supreme Lord, even though he is full of transcendental bliss, he has got one anxiety. Vaikuntha means freedom from anxiety. So both the Lord and the pure devotees in Vaikuntha, they are free from all anxiety. So, the scriptures say Lord has no anxiety. But he has got one anxiety. What is that anxiety? His anxiety is for the conditioned souls in this world, all of us. His anxiety is about us. Why? Because we all belong to him. He loves us. We are his loving parts and parcels, lovable parts and parcels. So, we are forgetful of him, we are turned away from him, and we are completely busy with our own business in this world, don't care for him. Even when he comes, we think he is an ordinary person, or we think we have nothing to do with him. So, that is his anxiety. That these very, very small number, the number of people, the number of the souls in this material creation is very, very small number. This small number of conditioned souls, Krishna is very much unhappy about us. That we are forgetful of him and we are suffering in forgetfulness. And we are engaged in a struggle for existence in this material world. And so many things we are doing for becoming free from miseries, for getting real happiness, for satisfying our desires. So much struggle in different ways. So, in order to put an end to our struggle and to help us, Krishna has made so many arrangements. He personally comes regularly. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam. Whenever there is discrepancy, he comes. Or he makes some arrangement. He sends his agents to punish the miscreants if there is any danger, difficulty. He also he has made arrangement for disseminating the spiritual knowledge and showing us the way how we can become free from all sinful reactions, how we can become free from all miseries, how we can purify ourselves, how we can get liberation from material bondage, how we can go back to him. But above all that, he sends his particular pure devotees like Prabhupada, who come only for the sake of taking us back to Godhead. For freeing us from all suffering and taking us back to Godhead. So such devotees who are only engaged in one service to Krishna, on behalf of Krishna they come to rescue us and take us back to Krishna. So such pure devotees are the topmost pure devotees of the Supreme Lord. And such devotees, they are very, 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 very dear to the Supreme Lord. That's why Prabhupada Pranam Mantra, what do we say? Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. Vishnu Padaya means Prabhupada is firmly situated at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu or Krishna, having taken complete shelter, only shelter. Prabhupada's only shelter is the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Krishna Presthaya Bhutale. In this entire world, nobody else is as dear to Krishna as Prabhupada. Why? Because among all the devotees who are serving the Supreme Lord Krishna, Prabhupada's service is very special. That he will take any amount of difficulty, any amount of risk. He'll do anything required to rescue these suffering souls in this world and take them back to Godhead. And you see in the life of Prabhupada, you study, you read, you hear what Prabhupada did. Nobody can compare to this service Prabhupada has done to this world, to the people of this world. And Prabhupada continues to do. Today we say Disappearance Day. Means Prabhupada, he passed away 1977, November 14th. But actually, Prabhupada is still present in so many ways. He is present as the deity, just like Krishna is present as the deity here. Radha, Krishna, Chandra, they are personally there. Similarly, Prabhupada is present as his deity. But Krishna is also present in the form of Bhagavad Gita, his teachings. Similarly, Prabhupada is also present in the form of his teachings, all the books he has written. And through those writings, he is instructing us, he is guiding us. So he is present in the form of his books. He is present in the form of his sincere followers. Just like Krishna is also present in this world in the form of his pure devotees like Prabhupada. So when Prabhupada comes or Prabhupada is present, that is same as Krishna's presence. Same as Krishna's presence. Identical. So Prabhupada is present in his deity form, the form of his teachings, his books, his followers, sincere followers, who are trying to carry forward his mission, serve his mission, the same service which Prabhupada had come for, has come for. Same service. And that is the most important service for Krishna. That service is to preach among the forgetful souls and remind them about Krishna, tell them about Krishna, make them Krishna conscious, prepare them to go back to Krishna, prepare them to finish off all their suffering. That service, again, is very, very, very dear to Krishna. And that's the topmost service anybody can do to Krishna. That's the topmost service. So, such service is particularly glorified by even the gopis. The gopis, they glorify Krishna. In the 10th canto, there's a description. One Gopi Gita is there. Gopi Gita. In that Gopi Gita, there is a verse that glorifies Prabhupada. Gopis are glorifying Prabhupada. Tava kathamrutam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham shravanamangalam srimadatam bhuvi grinantiye bhurida janaha. The glories of Krishna are like amrita for the ears. Shravana Mangalam. It brings in all auspiciousness. It is the medicine for this diseased condition, Bhava Roga. The glories of Krishna is described in the Bhagavatam and other Vedic scriptures. That is the best medicine, hearing that, for curing our disease of material existence, Bhava Roga. But the gopis are telling, Bhurida Janaha, Bhuvi Grinantiye Bhurida Janaha. Most glorious are those like Prabhupada who are actually preaching these glories among the conditioned souls to rescue them from this material world. Bhuri Jana, Bhurida Jana. So gopis are certifying among all the devotees of Krishna, who are the best devotees, topmost devotees, the greatest devotees, the most munificent devotees. Bhurida Jana means very, very magnanimous, very liberal devotees. So, Prabhupada is very liberal in giving Krishna's mercy. Krishna's mercy. He distributes Krishna's holy name. He distributes Krishna's kripa on everyone. Krishna's kripa has come as the Nama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada distributed this Hare Krishna mantra everywhere in the world. And he liberally distributed, very kindly distributed even to the most unqualified people. Unqualified people. And he took so much trouble to distribute. He traveled in cargo ship 37 days from India to America, from Calcutta to New York. He traveled. So much difficulty. But they don't mind. Because he wants to give. He wants to give. Not only distributing the name, because some people, they don't have appreciation for this holy name. They won't chant. You tell them, please chant. No, I won't chant. So for such people, still Prabhupada does not want to leave them. He distributed even prasadam, Krishna prasadam. That is also non-different from Krishna. That is also Krishna's mercy. Prasada literally means mercy. But the mercy in the form of food offered to Krishna and the remnants of that food tasted by Krishna. That prasada, that mercy form is very, very nice, relishable, easy to appreciate. So Prabhupada distributed prasadam also. Liberally distributed prasadam. And Prabhupada distributed the glories of Krishna in so many books he has written, and so many discourses he has given. So much he has spoken, so much he has written. So this is also the mercy of Krishna only. The glories of Krishna are his mercy. So that mercy also Prabhupada is liberally giving in so many ways. He is preaching the glories of Krishna, distributing these glories of Krishna, making people hear the glories of Krishna, read about it, hear about it, discuss about it. So, Bhurida Janaha, Prabhupada is the most munificent, most benevolent distributor of Krishna's mercy. So, we should be very careful not to offend such pure devotees, such great devotees, pure devotees. On the other hand, if we render little service to such pure devotees, Krishna will be very pleased. Krishna will be so pleased. You cannot please Krishna in any better way. Even if you personally do whatever service to Krishna, other than preaching his glories, any other service you do, Krishna will not be as pleased as you do little service, some service to Prabhupada. Krishna will be very, very, very pleased. And to please Prabhupada is easy if we ourselves take up Krishna consciousness. Because he has come for that purpose only, to make us Krishna conscious. And we are not selfish that I become Krishna conscious, I become happy, I become liberated. No. I also want to help others or assist others or tell this to others. So preach to others who are not Krishna conscious or who are not practicing Krishna consciousness. Preach to others. That will also be very pleasing to Prabhupada. Prabhupada will be pleased if you become Krishna conscious. But Prabhupada will be more pleased if in addition to becoming Krishna conscious, you also preach Krishna consciousness. And if Prabhupada is pleased, Krishna is very, 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 very pleased. Million times more. So very easily we can become first-class devotees. If we serve Prabhupada by preaching the glories of Krishna, to whom? To those who are forgetful of Krishna, those who are sinful people, those who are materialistic people. It's very easy to preach people who are spiritually interested. Those who are pious people, very easy to preach to them. But it's very, very difficult, sometimes impossible to preach to non-devotees, to sinful people, to atheists. Prabhupada preached to all such people. With so much of sacrifice he made to preach to such people. So, we should also try. First of all, we should accept Krishna consciousness, we should practice, and we should also preach. So, initially preaching we have to do to people who are favorable. But we should not limit to that. Should expand the preaching also to others who are not so interested, not so inclined. Okay? So I'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.